All right, good evening all. Sorry you're stuck with me tonight. Welcome to the October 22nd, 2024 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends and Daily Record newspapers, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of silence and thanks for individuals serving our nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
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 The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Hurd is not with us. Mrs. Florence Lynch? Here. Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mrs. Russell? Here. Mr. Dreese?
Present. Here. Moving on with the agenda, number 5, there are no presentations scheduled for this evening. Number 6, at this time, are there any reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community? Seeing none, we shall move on to the public comment section. The next item on the agenda is public comments. This comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. We welcome comments, suggestions, and questions during the comment period. However, the purpose of this is to allow public comment, not to engage in a dialogue. If you have a specific question, please feel free to pose it and then follow up with staff via telephone or email. As a reminder, comments are limited to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, to come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Paul Mailer, resident of Pequannock Township. I'm here tonight to talk about the library. First of all, the good news. The new director, Jean Morose, is doing a fantastic job. So far, she's done 2 director's reports at successive trustee meetings. She is highly qualified, energetic, has a lot of new ideas that some of which she's already put in place. So good news on that front, great hire. But I'm also concerned about something that has transpired over the last 2 trustee meetings. And I had the occasion at the hoedown to speak to several residents about it, and I asked them, what do you think I should do? I'm going to go to the town council meeting. What do you think I should do? And what they said was, just present the facts and ask the council to react to the facts. So here they are. These are the facts surrounding the August 5 release of a statement entitled Statement from the Pequannock Township Library Board of Trustees. The statement was approved by a majority in attendance at a June 19 library trustee meeting. It did not get unanimous approval. It was approved by a majority. Trustee Muzio voiced strenuous opposition, but was outvoted by the Peller-Russell-White majority. Also in attendance was former interim director Susan Callantone and trustee board attorney Zucker. Absent were trustees Galante, McBain, and McShane. Trustee board attorney Zucker indicated at the meeting that a statement not unanimously approved should only be released under President White's name. On August 2nd, 2024, Trustee Muzio wrote to Board Attorney Zucker challenging his assertion during the prior meeting that she should have agreed to the statement in order to show a united front to the public. She also detailed her opposition in her letter to Attorney Zucker, writing, quote, "The statement was misleading and lacked context," end quote. On August 5th, 2024, President White ordered then Interim Director Callantone to release the statement, leaving whether it was unanimously approved subject to interpretation by the reader. Again, the title was Statement from Pequannock Township Library Board of Trustees. At the September 18, 2024 Library Trustee meeting, Councilwoman Russell, referencing the statement, said to Trustee Muzio, quote, "It's okay to change your mind, but don't lie about it," end quote. At the October 16, 2024 Library Trustee meeting, Trustee Muzio challenged Councilwoman Russell's assertion that Muzio had lied. She did so by providing third-party proof to the contrary from former interim director Susan Callantone. In a September 26, 2024 email to Trustee Muzio, Ms. Callantone wrote, quote, "Barbara Muzio stated strongly that she did not approve of the contents and in no way would approve of the statement being released to the public," end quote. I have copies of this chronology as well as the note from former interim director Callantone for each of you, and I ask that you take appropriate action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wish to address the council? All right, there'll be no additional public comment. We will continue with the agenda. Does anybody want to make a comment based on what was said, or should he follow up with whoever?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look at it. I don't know what the bylaws are, but we shall take a look. The next item number 8, is the manager's report. Mr. Brew.
Thank you, sir. Members of council and public, several items within my written report and one addition if the council doesn't mind. First up, last meeting we had some discussion regarding the Greenview Park Court resurfacing project. There were 2 questions specifically posed regarding the lack of warranty or guarantee for the surface and ensuring that the surface would bond or adhere to the existing asphalt and the cracks wouldn't continue to move through to the upper layer quickly. It is northern New Jersey and asphalt is asphalt. Greater information is within the written report. If there's any questions on this item, I'm happy to try to answer it. Ultimately, my respectful request to the council is direction whether we should formally rescind the contract, which is currently on pause with the vendor, or if the council wishes to entertain a motion and a resolution to approve.
I think with those 2 things, I'm good.
I'm fine,
I'm
too.
good, too. I'll make a motion.
Yeah, that's,
Are we
that,
doing that now?
No, we'll do that.
Later?
No, I don't have, so based upon practice, if the council votes something down, I can't just put it back on
Got it.
my own volition.
Okay.
So, Mr. Osteich, unless you feel differently, if the council were to make a motion to approve the contract as previously identified and included in the packet with a roll call, would that be acceptable to move forward with the contract?
That would be acceptable to move forward with.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Number 188, it's right here.
And
188.
I'll second it.
but we are getting something
Yes.
in writing. He's going to give us something in writing, and they're going to do the netting that John
Yeah.
talked about.
Well, there's a membrane that the DPW does on our projects that they were planning to do.
Gotcha, okay, yes, then I'm good.
I'm sorry, are you taking a vote on the resolution now, or are you agreeing to put it back on the agenda?
Taking a vote on the resolution.
On I don't think we can revisit an existing resolution. I think it has to be a motion to approve the contract.
Right.
Which would have been the same.
Which would have been the same as
Approve the
And
contract.
I'll second it.
Hold on a second. All right. Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Dreesy?
Yes. Good, we can get that.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
It's
Next
been
item.
nice and warm out, so.
It's great weather.
Yeah.
Great weather. So the next 2 items, again, previously at the last meeting, I was optimistic and hoping that we would have one more change order, that we would change order down. That didn't happen. We have change orders number 8 and number 9 for the Route 23 sewer project, though we are coming to the end. The items identified within the change orders include sprinkler systems, the repair to, or clean cleaning out of a stormwater system and the repaving of a parking lot based upon an existing agreement we have for the easement. As described in the written report, there is a amount that the property owner is going to be paying us, so the net impact of the project is about $26,400, is exactly $26,418.16 lower than what it appears in change order 9 once we receive that revenue, but those are being recommended by the project engineer and manager as well as myself. Should these change orders be approved later in the meeting, we're still roughly 1% within the original contract amount.
Nice.
Which is very good.
Which is, in my experience on a project of this size, I haven't experienced it anymore.
Yeah, right? I was expecting change order.
Credit to the team. Credit to Mr. Mitiga and the team associated with the field work and supervising the job. They're doing a great job. Item D, we have at the council's consideration an ordinance for introduction. Based upon prior discussion, there was a request to allow for cottage food industry, which is essentially baking, as more described in the ordinance, to take place in residences. As a result of that request, the council directed we move forward. The planning board reviewed a re-examination report, approved it, and this ordinance would be consistent with that. If the council were to introduce this ordinance, it would go to the planning board for review as consistent with statute, and then if the planning board deemed it consistent with the master plan, sent back to the council for potential public hearing and adoption. It does not involve cheese,
Thankfully.
though it does have the word.
So where did cottage food come from?
It's just a term, I guess you make it in a cottage, I don't know.
I don't know. It's just a weird term.
the way it's
Consistent with the state statute.
Yes.
Where the origin of it, though, who knows?
Something interesting to find out.
And then lastly, non-residential land use fees are scheduled for a discussion item. There was a complaint which resulted in a thorough review primarily by the Township Attorney's Office, who I owe a debt of gratitude. And there's information in the council's packet which we'll discuss further, but essentially there's a recommendation that the council may wish to reconsider this fee based upon what was learned during the review. Last item, it's not in the written report. Typically, we have a Board of Health meeting where the council functions as the Board of Health annually. Is there any objection to having that at the next council meeting at 6:30?
That would be great.
Nope, I'm good.
Wonderful.
Works for me.
Mrs. Russell?
6:30, you said?
6:30, yes, sir.
That works for me.
Okay, so Ms. Marsh, I'll work with you in getting that noticed. And
Yep.
Mr. Cantizano will look forward to meeting with the council in its capacity as the Board of Health.
Is that it?
That's it, yes, sir. Thank you.
Any questions from council?
Oh, good.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right, number 9, there are no public hearings scheduled for this evening. I'll move on to number 10. The introduction of ordinances. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2024-18 is an ordinance amending Chapter 360 of the Code of the Township of Pequannock and adding cottage food operation as an additional permitted home occupation use.
Mr. Brewer, any additional comments? I know you...
Just by way of history, there was previously a prohibition on the baking of goods in a home, and it was required to be done in a commercial commission subject to inspection. The state of New Jersey changed the health code to allow for this to happen. Subsequently, there was at least one resident in the Township of Pequannock who wanted to engage in this and made the request of the governing body. I believe when this was discussed at a meeting, when we reviewed what home occupations are permitted, seamstress and tailoring were discussed, and some other things that are a little less common now than maybe they were in the past. So this is moving forward with something that's consistent with what the state has done and the request of the resident.
And real quick, does the Board of Health go out and inspect or do any inspections or no?
They don't. It's a state license, and the inspection is consistent with that of any zoning permit.
Okay, so nobody actually walks in and sees if it's a clean kitchen?
They're not checking the meat slicer like they do at a deli or other
Okay.
food establishment.
I think we should make that known.
Yeah. Yeah, because the people they're not really selling out of there. The people make orders and then they bake their
Online
goods
things and
or
events.
online.
Right, but they're
and they
baking in
just
their
deliver
kitchen.
it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if they have 40 cats.
We're not going to know.
There's an element of caveat emptor.
Right.
Buyer beware. So
Right, okay.
if you it was always amusing when you had a bake sale at a school, and if you knew about this, you'd kind of giggle because it was technically violent.
Exactly, yes.
But as far as people who choose to purchase their things, there's
Right,
an element of
right.
if you want
And most
something.
people are going to buy from people they know anyway, I think.
And I'm avoiding cold cuts right now.
Okay.
You should have voted.
Exactly.
Anyway.
With the listeria going. So there's a lot of different things, caveat emptor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brewer. Any comments from council other than that?
No?
All right, is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
Go ahead.
I'll make that motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-18.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes. The next agenda item is resolution. This March.
Beginning with Resolution R 2024-197, approving the minutes of the designated township council meetings, 2024, and that's the end of the back ones, by the way. I'm happy. R 2024-198, approving change order number 8 for the Route 23 sewer project, increasing the contract with P&A Contractors of Colonia, New Jersey by $24,209.67 to a revised contract price of $5,736,722.81. 2024-199, approving change order number 9 for the Route 23 sewer project, increasing the contract with P&A Contractors of Colonia, New Jersey by $45,577.35 to a revised contract price of $5,782,300.16. 2024-200, approving change order number 1 for the Adams New Street reconstruction, increasing the contract with Savelli and Son General Contracting Incorporated of Nutley, New Jersey by $3,688.87 to a revised contract price of $368,486.37. 201, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations, and R 2024-202, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the October 18th, 2024 bill list and 2018 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Okay, are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
Just good job, Carol, on getting those minutes done.
Yay.
I think I'm in some of those.
Oh, you are. Actually, everybody on the council appeared them except for Mrs. Russell. Sorry.
Everyone,
And maybe,
Everybody's name was mentioned at least once in those prior.
That's awesome.
I was.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't even here.
Easy.
You came up for some. You got pointed to a board, I think.
Oh. Oh, good.
great job.
All right, no more comments? Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll
make a motion.
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
You want me to do it, or you want to do it?
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-197 through R 2024-202.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is items for discussion. So now we're going to talk about the non-residential land use fees that Mr. Brewer spoke about before.
I gave the primer, Mr. Osteich, may I pass the baton your way?
You surely may. So we received some comments from attorneys who represent folks who bring applications to our boards about, in particular, the fee we charged in our ordinance for non-residential site plan, preliminary and final approvals. And the issue was we had a fee structure that based the fee upon the size of the lot, so not on the building. So if you had a very large lot and you were doing a very small improvement like a gazebo or a shed that required site plan approval, your fees were in the tens of thousands of dollars. And that obviously discouraged people from bringing these kind of applications, and it was brought to our attention. Now, the fee could have, on a big improvement, on a small lot, it would work fine, but it didn't work all the time, and there were more than one example of people who got kind of caught in this vortex. So we were asked just to take another look at that and compare it to some of our other fees, and you can see, like, when you compared it to our fee for a residential site plan or residential subdivision, that really didn't add up like that particular type adds up. So I think it was because of the way we based it on lot size that we ran into a problem. So Jill took a look at it and made a recommendation. I gave you some samples from other towns. The fees are all over the place. We have to keep in mind with these fees, we do, people pay through escrow for all our professionals and their services in regards to it. So this is supposed to cover our administrative expenses. And it is not supposed to be a way for a municipality to make profit.
To make money.
It's supposed to be a way for the municipality for those who use the service to effectively pay for the service. So, Adam and I went over it, looked at some of the other towns. The other towns are really hard to compare to because just looking at our neighboring towns, it really varies.
Right.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Rossi, it both varies in terms of cost and methodology to charge it.
Both, yes.
So in calculating this, unless you take a specific property and kind of run it through its paces, it's hard to make an apples-to-apples comparison.
So we felt that the ordinances that base it on the gross floor area of the proposed improvement is the more fair way to do this.
Not of the building.
Not of
whatever
that's
the
correct.
lot size. Yeah.
That's correct.
Right.
Not of the lot size, but
No, but if they have a 20,000 square foot building and they're only modifying 2,000 square feet, you pay on 2,000, not 20.
That's true.
Correct.
Because they probably have to look at the whole building to figure out how it fits into the equation. Yes. So that is the recommendation. I think the concern raised was legitimate when we added up what some of these, where some of these applications ended up. So, they really, the one that was brought to our attention, the combination of application and escrow fee was over $50,000.
Wow, yeah.
So, it just doesn't work the way it is.
More than the
Yeah.
project.
Yes, more than the project costs, correct.
I'm okay if it's going to help with development in town.
And prettying things up.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Absolutely.
Make a change.
Okay.
I'm fine with it as well. I think it's good.
We'll put an ordinance together to do that.
Yeah, you have the draft ordinance.
Yeah.
It'll just be
It'll be
scheduled for
scheduled.
potential introduction on November 12th.
Yeah, these numbers make sense to me. I mean, it's not, that's not too
I don't think so.
onerous.
No.
It's a lot.
Bob, if you had to guess, what would that application that you said was 50,000, what do you think it's going to go down to?
Couple thousand. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just basing it on lot size was really hard to justify.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's good to try to help out businesses in town trying to, if they want to make their building nicer, or put a small addition on, or fix something up, that we're not charging them extra money to do that when the cost of everything is kind of crazy at the moment, so. All right, Mr. Ostek, okay?
That is fine. We are good with that.
We're going to put a ordinance together for next meeting? I
Yeah, it's
suppose?
in your packet, it'll be on your agenda.
Okay, all right, good. We'll move on to item number 13, reports and notices. There are none this evening. Council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Okay, real quick. Saturday was a beautiful day. The hoedown was a success. Couldn't have had a nicer day. So thank you to everyone who organized it. Thank you to everyone who participated in it. And, it couldn't have gone better. Let's see what else. The Senior Citizen Advisory Group, I've mentioned this before, they're running a trip to the Hunterton Playhouse. As of last week, there was only 2 tickets left, so if anybody wanted to try to go on that trip to the Hunterton Playhouse, you can sign up in Parks and Rec. On Sunday, I got to go to an Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Michael Blackman Thompson. He did that wonderful, I don't know if you saw it down at Greenview Park, it's a chess table with benches and it overlooks the pond. It's great. So it was just a wonderful celebration for Michael, and I told the clerk that the last couple of Eagle Scouts want to come to a council meeting so we can record it into the minutes, so she's going to work on that,
nice.
get it on the record. Economic Development Committee, they normally meet tomorrow night, but they didn't have a quorum, so they're going to move the meeting. So if you were planning on stopping by the Economic Development meeting tomorrow night, it's going to be moved, but I'm waiting for a new date. And then last but not least, Just a reminder that on November 9th, Saturday, is Shred Day, and it's from 9 to 1.
November 9th?
I believe so.
Yeah, November 9th.
And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Cole.
I'll make it short and sweet. The hoedown was wonderful, the weather was wonderful, and the Greenview Park Pond looks great.
Yeah, we got so many compliments on that.
Thank you.
I heard it lights up at night.
It does. Right now, it's pink for breast cancer awareness.
Very nice.
Good job.
I'll ride by at night so I can see it.
The staff is incredibly proud of what they did in-house. If the council recalls and the public knows, we went out to bid twice for this, and it didn't work. We got a grant for it. And the staff did it themselves, and they pulled the liner themselves, and all the work was done in-house.
Talented group.
With some rented equipment, so it's an amazing return on investment and something to very, very much be proud of.
Yeah,
So
tell them we were at the hoedown, and Dave, I mean, it must have been 20 people came up to
Yeah.
us, and just, and then we explained it to them. Well, we went out to bid twice, and we couldn't do it. We kept going back, and they really, it looked great.
And the thing that we didn't really make public was, we were probably putting $100,000 of water in that a year just to keep it a pond.
Right,
Oh,
because it was leaking.
30,000 a year?
It was a hole in the ground in which we put water. It was not a pond. So now it is a pond.
Keeping our fingers
Well,
crossed.
please,
That won't happen.
well, please make sure you tell DPW.
Yes, we'll do.
And it's stocked with
how to
fish.
do.
There are structures with fish. There's going to be added green and plants so that it's a good ecosystem. And there's a lot of interest in this. Some of the fish are being named.
Some
I think somebody was talking about one of the Boy Scouts doing a rain garden near the pond or something, so
Definitely
I'm
possible.
sure they'll reach out.
But thank you for that.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
What? John is good. Thank you. Councilwoman Russell.
Environmental Committee, they're doing a rain garden volunteer weeding event on the 26th. You can go on the website and take a look at that. Murphy administration has given a drought watch, so they're urging residents to conserve water and, just be careful. And also, as you're driving, there's a lot of brush fires. I think they responded to one from
couple
a
of them,
power
I think.
line down,
Yeah.
and then there was one up, so,
Company 2 was in Rockaway to
yeah.
help.
A big one.
The hoedown, like everybody said, it was fantastic, fantastic weather, fantastic people there, a lot of compliments to everybody a lot of work goes out to that, so Parks and Rec and DPW and everybody, congratulations. Library, Jean is doing a fantastic job, went by the library booth, and everybody that works there looks so happy to work there. It's just so happy to see how happy people are. Tomorrow, Wednesday's in October, tomorrow's the last Wednesday. If you eat at Anthony Coal-Fired Pizza and you mention Pequannock Library, there's a flyer they have. They will donate 20% to the Friends of the Library, which they in turn donate to library to get some neat stuff. They gave us a little over $1,700 at the last meeting to Jean, so they're a great asset. And that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, now I guess it's my turn. I did not have any committee meetings since the last meeting. I heard the hoedown was great. I was not in town, but it was a beautiful day, so I'm assuming it was good. I also heard a lot of good compliments on the pond. I've been invited to look at it, but I want to go by.
Lit up. I'm going by tonight.
Lit up at night.
I'm going by tonight.
It's going to look neat. Congratulations to the new Eagle Scout, Michael, in town. We do have a lot of them, which is awesome. Now, question on that. There's an Eagle Scout project in front of PV Park where the kids swim. That needs a little bit of help.
Okay.
Can we maybe refurbish that a bit or hang a board back up there? I walk by it on Sunday morning when I'm in town.
Which project was it?
I don't remember, but it says Eagle Scout project on it. There's a name on it. I don't remember, but it's right in front of the swimming building there.
Maybe they could refurbish that, yeah.
So yeah, just make it look nice. It's there, so.
Trying to think what's there.
It was probably a kiosk. It's like a kiosk of some kind, so
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Okay.
The Adams Street reconstruction work, it looks good. The paving looks good. The sidewalk looks good. I know they did a little bit extra work for us, so that's great. Carol, thank you for getting those minutes done from way back when. I know it's a little bit odd, but I was told that we had to do it, so thank you for getting that done.
You're welcome.
And I guess that's about it. I'd just like to just thank everybody. Thank you for all the members of the town that came out tonight. good to see people out there. So thank you for that, and thanks you for putting up with me sitting here.
I got one good question.
Sure.
Is the pond we're gonna be able to skate on it if it's deemed safe with the liner, or?
Something to explore.
Okay.
There are some concerns around skating and the certification and the liability, but we'll take a look at it. I suspect the no skating was more to do with the insurance dynamics than it was to do with the pond.
I think there was a sign that used to have a yes or no to skating.
no skating.
Yeah, they
Now it says no skating.
Okay.
Right, they
Much
used-
like sledding, the insurance dynamic has changed with the litigiousness in New Jersey. So there are some towns that don't permit sledding. We don't do that. But I think when all of that changed is probably when we went to the
Not
no
that deep
skating.
if somebody fell through, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be. That's the concern. It's about 4 feet deep.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Now, they dug it out some, so goodness forbid if somebody went into cold water, you could have a problem.
Okay, all right.
So essentially, if you're going to allow skating, you have to have someone that has a certification that goes out and does a core sample and is willing to certify that it is safe to skate. So there's a lot involved in that.
I'm taking you're leaning towards no skating.
I will look into it.
Yeah, look into it for sure.
Just like no paddleboarding, right? So we're not allowed to paddleboard there either?
That was the recommendation of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. Yes. That wasn't me.
Maybe they should relook at that.
There's no paddleboarding at the Greenville?
No, I wouldn't.
Woodland.
Oh, I think there should be. I think it would be fun. Why not?
They were afraid that people would get caught if they fell out or something, get caught.
Well, there's a lot of lily pads and stuff there too.
Did you see the witches paddle down in Spring Lake and down
They
the
did.
shore?
No.
They all dressed up like witches and they do the paddle.
We have enough of them. We don't need
It's
any
called
more.
the witches paddle.
Witch's paddle, huh? Okay. Nope, I didn't see them. So next, item number 15 is public.
Can I jump in? I was just going to
Sure.
say, I don't know if anybody brought it up, but just so everybody knows, Monday starts leaf pickup, if you didn't look at the website, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
Curbside leaf collection, please don't include grass clippings because that's a major problem.
Wait, Monday's what?
Leaf pickup. Leaf pickups. Curbside leaf pickup.
DPW leaf pickup, but if you
Oh, they're
want to bag
starting, yeah.
it still is every Monday until...
Yep.
But they still pick up in cans.
And you can put leaf or grass clippings in the cans and bags.
And that goes until...
Just not in the
End
curbside.
of December.
They just don't block the storm drains.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted.
And I think it's more the landscapers that do that, not the homeowners, but
Right.
it's an issue.
100%.
Yes, it is.
So, can I move on? 15. What's that? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Public comment. As a reminder, we welcome comments, suggestions, and questions rather than dialogue during the public comment period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized and come to the microphone to provide your name for the record. Yes. Oh, actually,
One behind.
let, you want to go first?
Good evening, Council. How are you?
Good evening.
Good, Chair. How are you?
Good. This is 3 questions, or 3 parts. One's for Township Manager Adam Brewer and Mr. Uzdike for ordinance 2024-18. That's submitted for introduction. So this is preliminary. Will this include or be added in regarding street parking for any type of business vehicles, or if there is, just say customer pickup in residential zones? The streets are meant for residents, not for business. So that was just a part of something that I was thinking of when I was reading this. Also, if somebody is going to have a business like this, which I'm sure many people are doing already, but will there be notification to local residents within the street or within 1 or 2 blocks? Advertising regarding the business will affect residential roads. And also, I don't know, does the health code, the coding for the health department and for the fire code or for any other ordinances, does that change when you're adding in an ordinance like this? And also we're paying residential taxes in a residential road, so if you're having a business, is there going to be an added type of tax fee for business owners that do something like this. So it's not like, you don't have to answer me back, it's just more or less like when this goes into deeper discussion, is this more just preliminary and you're adding stuff in, or is this what the ordinance will be, and then it's just open for public comment and concern?
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm used to people responding back, so the old-fashioned way.
I said okay.
I know. No, in a different way. And then also, I support local business and small businesses. I'm just thinking more on the residential street, with young families, and even with seniors and just residents overall. When you start getting one business, it could turn into 2, 3, 4, and then next thing you know, your streets are flooded with 10, 20 cars parked all day, and then some even at nighttime. And then second was just an idea, if ice skating is something that will not happen at the parks, maybe in the wintertime. I remember a long time ago, when I was a teenager, they used to have like a ice skating rink that was next to the A&P, or right in back of, I think it's like the TD Bank now off of Route 23. Maybe it's something to do a nice fundraiser in town if you set up an ice skating rink, like a little indoor, or one of those ice skating rinks, and do some fundraising for like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and all the other types of great clubs that we have for the township. And plus, it would be probably safer for kids and for adults to ice skate versus going in the middle of Woodland Lake or Greenview Park Pond. And then lastly, we do have a great township. So I say it all the time when I come here, with DPW, your Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all the other clubs that we have in this township. I mean, even to like fix up Greenview Park and put your minds together and do fun things for the township. We are special here, and we have such a great township. So, sometimes we have to put the boxing gloves down and don't take for granted what we have. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
I do agree, we do have a great township,
100%.
so thank you. I think all of us in this room would agree to that, but that's just my humble opinion. So, anyone else? Mr. Paul?
Rangers post. Hi again. Paul Mailer, Pequannock Township resident. I noticed just a few minutes ago that there's an executive session that you're going into, and that appreciate the transparency, first of all. I don't know if it's required by law for your group, but it reads contract negotiations interlocal agreement with the Pequannock Township Public Library. Appreciate that transparency. It doesn't happen at every meeting throughout the township. But that transparency certainly is appreciated here. And also just want to remind you that the line item on the budget and in the legislation is minimum library tax. The word minimum is in the legislation and on your budget line item. So just ask you to keep that in mind when you're negotiating with the library, and hope that you share my opinion that minimum library tax should all be spent on the library, on library services and so on. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yes, come on up.
Mary Kay Schmerman. In terms of the library, that we're on the subject of the library, I'm really, really happy that the potholes were filled and that it looks great. But there also was a conversation about how the library is paying a third and the town is paying a third for the parking lot library. So I was curious if we have an update on exactly what's happening with the parking lot for the library and exactly how that's going to happen. The other thing I'd like to say is, talking about DPW, I was fortunate enough to get my name in, and I have a tree in my front yard. And I call them kids because they're kids to me, but they were absolutely terrific. They came, we happened to be home, they told us what they were going to be doing. The green bags are there, we have at least 4 or 5 trees on our street. And so it's been fun. And they promised that they would come back, because I guess with the first couple weeks of planting a tree, you have to make sure there's water. Every morning, this truck comes by and puts water in the tree.
Good.
So they really, really deserve credit for that. So I think that's the only comment, though I do have a question about, now that we have some challenges at the library board meetings, I was wondering, where does the council go now with some of the concerns that the residents of Pequannock have come forward with? So that's my last statement.
Okay, thank you. And I agree, I'm glad they're planting the trees. We got that since, that all sorted out, and the DPW can get those done. So it's always good to see a couple more trees come up that are the right trees for the area that we're planting them in. So,
And kudos to Shade Tree.
yeah.
They got the grant.
Shade Tree got the grant,
Yeah,
so.
they got that. So, is there anyone else? All right, seeing nobody else, we're going to close that portion of the meeting. Mr. Brewer, would you like to address any of the comments?
Would you like me to address some of them?
On the ordinance?
I can I'll start with on the ordinance. Couple things, Sharon. There is a provision in here that says, well, first of all, this is the draft that will be on the next agenda for public hearing. It does say all vehicular traffic to and from the cottage food use shall be limited in volume, type, and frequency to that which is normally associated with other residential uses in the zone. So I would interpret that to include parking's got to be what's normally associated. It also says the only people who can work there are people who live there. So there should not be employees parking, because you're not permitted to have outside employees in this industry. In terms of how it's regulated and what it's done, it's designed by the state to allow people to do this in their homes and sort of be an accessory residential use, which is why we put it that way in the ordinance. We added, in addition to some of the state's requirements, we added some zoning-related requirements. Frankly, we didn't come up with them. They came from other towns. We looked at them and felt that each of them, in my opinion, made some sense. So it also deals with, your utilities have to be roughly the same, so you can't be putting a whole lot more stuff in the sewage system because of whatever it is you're doing in your thing. So there's attempts to control it. We see how that works. If there's problems, we'll have to address problems as they come up. But the theory also was that there probably are a good number of people doing this anyway. We're certainly aware of. Making a process that allows people to legitimize it hopefully will encourage people to do this the right way, and make it have some ability to regulate it at least a little bit. So that's the point behind it. We give credit to the people who came forward, wanted to do it, and said, we want to do it, but we want to do it legitimately. Can you do some work on an ordinance for us? So that's where that came out of.
And they can't put a commercial kitchen in.
And they
It's gotta be
cannot put-
residential appliances.
Correct.
So that's all in there.
Yes.
And to provide a little additional context, within the existing zoning ordinance, there are definitions for what is permitted.
Yeah.
And if you compare what is proposed to what is already permitted, it's not dissimilar. So there
Agreed. Yeah.
isn't something that's dramatically different. It's just, as I mentioned before with the tailoring, it would be something that would be consistent with that or like that, and not have any greater demand on public infrastructure or the street. So there isn't any different fee structure other than a zoning permit. There isn't any additional taxation. There isn't anything else like that from the township's perspective. But it's more marrying a request to be consistent with something that's already permitted.
So we had that comment. In terms of Paul's comment about our closed session, yeah, I do believe that's what's required, to be that specific about what we are discussing when we go into executive session. We do a resolution which talks about the category we're going in under. We like to be a little bit more specific and talk about what kind of agreement we're dealing with, at least when there's no reason that needs to be confidential, as in this case there is not. We also, when we come out of executive session, briefly outline what we talked about to the extent that can be shared with the public. So we do both of those things, and that becomes part of the minutes. I believe we do that because it's required and because it's a good idea. So that's, I would think, agencies would follow that kind of that kind of a process when doing it, at least to some extent. In terms of the question about the library board and where that goes, the library board is an autonomous body. Our public library is an autonomous body. That's something libraries are oftentimes very proud of, the fact that they have a statutory autonomy from the municipality. But that goes two ways. The governing body is not in a position to govern the library and the library board. So we can certainly listen to concerns about what happens at the library, but the council's only role with the library, well, there's really two. One is you appoint trustees to the library, and you choose who the trustees are, and that comes from the council. So the council certainly can take comments in consideration when there are complaints about the way the Board of Trustees is operating. And the second, of course, is as a budget, as was also mentioned by someone, it's a minimum, by Paul, it's a minimum. And in terms of agreements and what we provide, that's something the council can do, as we can do with any other public body, right? We have interlocal agreements with the school, although we all know the school is an autonomous body. So we provide services back and forth in very much the same way. But basically, the library is autonomous, and the council really needs to stay out of internal library affairs. And I think those were the legal issues I addressed, unless I missed something.
No, I think that was it. I think that was it. It was,
And with respect to the parking lot, it's subject to
Yeah.
it's subject to the agreement.
Right.
So once we finalize the agreement, that will be addressed in that.
right, I think we responded to all the questions.
I think so.
So now we'll move on to item number 16, which is the approval of the minutes for September 10th. And these are recent minutes, right, Ms. Carroll?
They are.
2024, September 10th and October 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 10th, 2024, and October 8th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So passed. Next on the agenda is closed session. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R 2024-203, authorizing the township to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations for an interlocal agreement? Geez, who writes this? Contract negotiations for an interlocal agreement with the Pequannock Township Public Library.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for the closed session. Again, thank you for coming.